Hello everyone. I thought today it might be interesting to talk a little bit about King Arthur, especially as written by Sir Thomas Malory. So here I have Morte Darthur, which I got a couple of years ago for Christmas. I read it last year and enjoyed it. And as some people have said online, if you're going to read Morte Darthur, you should take your time with it. I definitely did that. I didn't hear that before I read it, but that's what I ended up doing naturally. It's a hefty book. There's a lot in there, and it's not just about the death of Arthur, it's about his whole life. And if there are Arthur stories with which you are familiar, more than likely they came from this book. But there's no real canon about Arthur, no accepted one line of stories that talk about him. This is the official canon of Arthur. There are many, many Arthur stories out there I have found. And this is just one author's look at it. And I think he's taking some of the French stories and translating them into English. And what's interesting about that is Arthur's stories were very popular in France at this time. This is in the late 1400s, I believe, when Malory was writing this. And so because of that, he was not writing in modern English. He was writing in Middle English. But this book is printed in modern English, more or less. The Middle English spellings are updated to modern English spellings, and there may be some word replacements as well for clarity. But I just learned that recently. So after I'd already read this, like, wait, what? So I have an interest in Middle English. I'm trying to learn what I can with what time I have. And I heard about another work by Sir Thomas Malory, which is in Middle English. It's the Arthur story in Middle English and is more complete. So that is Malory Complete Works. And just by way of comparison, you can see there's a little bit more going on here. This book is about 150, 200 pages longer than this one. Page thickness also has something to do with that. I don't know what the GSM is on these pages, but nonetheless. That's why this is so much thicker. So I've already read this one, and I want to read, I have started reading, I'm not very far into it, but I have started reading the Complete Works. And just to show you, by way of quick comparison between the two, how that would read. So modern spellings to the original spelling. So here's modern English, or modern spellings, I should say. It befell in the days of Uther Pendragon, when he was king of all England and so reigned, that there was a mighty duke in Cornwall that held war against him long time, and the duke was called the Duke of Tintagel. So there's the opening line of the updated spelling. Here is the Middle English spelling over here. And I'll do my best, but be kind in the comments. It befell in the days of Uther Pendragon, when he was king of all England, and so reigned, that there was a mighty duke in Cornwall that held war against him long time, and the duke was called the Duke of Tintagel. So they sound the same, more or less, but not the same. Sounds like someone speaking in a funny accent. And there's one other quick comparison, the very important scene that people most often think of with Arthur. And I think that you might be surprised to find that the sword that's in the stone, the sword's in an anvil that's on the stone, or something like an anvil. And it's not Excalibur. It's a different sword. It's just the sword of the king. All right, so the inscription near the sword says, "Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone and anvil is rightwise king born of all England." That's the modern spelling. And go back over here and we can see the Middle English spelling. Hoso pulleth ut this swerd of this stone, and anvil is richtwise king born of all England. So this is late Middle English, and if you are familiar with Middle English, you might be wondering, why didn't I pronounce the E on the end of out or born? Is because I was informed reliably by a friend that in Middle English, in late Middle English here, you don't pronounce all those ending E's like you would for Chaucer. But Chaucer was about 100 years before this. So that's a quick comparison between the two. And you can see that if you're interested in the Middle English, it's really not that bad. It may take saying it out loud to understand what's being said. So like Merlin's name is spelled differently a little bit, Merlion. But when you say that out loud, you understand, oh, wait, that's Merlin. So that's where we're at. And I hope that interests you. But one thing I've noticed about Arthur stories is there's always the question of, was Arthur real? And I can say, without a shadow of doubt, without a fear of being wrong whatsoever, although opinions may differ, yes, Arthur was real, but not in the way that you think I may say that he was real. I think there really was a great leader in England named Arthur. I don't have any doubts of that. There's been some historical artifacts that attest to that. And Tintagel's even a real place. But that's not what I mean. These stories, when you read them, you read about Arthur and about his knights, there are stunning similarities between Arthur and King David of ancient Israel and his mighty men. And what it seems to me is that Arthur legend seems to be fan fiction of the King David story. That's just my personal thought. I was just noticing that one time. King Uther seems more like Saul, and Arthur like David. So that's how I look at it. There just seems to be, because the Bible was brought to England surely very early on, especially once translated into Latin. But I can't not think of those similarities. But that's my take. So what do you all think? Hope you all have a great day.